use the different plugins, how to use the different plugins, how to find UI kits in order to kind of design the layout. So here is an idea of what a personal app might look like. So you have, let's say, like a profile picture. You might have like a blurb, a menu bar that kind of like shows you different options. You can go to different pages. Here's like an about me page. There isn't actual text filled in, which we can kind of talk about later on when we use a certain plugin for that. But this is where you'd have like your text. You can go into like an experience page. We also have like a location and map, which is dynamic. So you can kind of scroll around and play with that. And we also have like a photo gallery over here, which you can scroll through. You can click on the first image. You can see what that kind of looks like when you click on it. So we'll be making something similar to this today. We'll try to keep at good pace so that you guys could follow along. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to message either me or any of the co-hosts. So I have Eric and Yuan with me who will be walking you through all of this. So before we start, I'm sure that all of you guys have a Figma account already set up. So make sure that's done if you haven't already done so. One thing I want to tell you guys about is UI kits. So UI kits are kind of like tools that you can use to design your screen layout for different phones, for example. So here I have with me like an iOS UI kit. So you can kind of see like those layouts over here. You have like a status
I'm in a
bar.
meeting right now too.
You have
oh no, but it's fine. It's a workshop how to create your own app.
Hello,
sorry,
Brian.
could someone mute yourself?
Yeah, yeah, they're teaching the class right now.
Hello,
Brian.
No, it's fine.
Brian, you
Okay, this is
so I clicked on what file?
Yes, file.
someone
And then you go to
could you mute yourself?
Yeah, I
please?
just did it.
Okay, thank you.
I just did it.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, Brian, I had to do it.
Okay, so so these UI kits kind of have everything that you need. So whether it be a keyboard, the status bar up here, you have different kinds of buttons that you can use to just copy paste directly into your draft. So from this personal app over here, we can kind of just take a brief overview of what that kind of looks like when you're designing it. So here we started off with a wireframe. You can see the different pages. It's very, very, very rough. It's kind of just a way to picture what it looks like before actually designing. So all of these pages are laid out side by side, and then we could kind of just prototype them at the end. So back to these UI kits, I will link all of these in the chat. So this is the first thing you guys would need in order to follow along. Let me find this. There you go. So you guys should see it in the chat. And then one more thing that we also recommend you guys do, because we'll be using some of these plugins. So when you go to the community page here, you can access a variety of different tools you can use to design. So one of these tools we'll be using is called Font Awesome Icons. So make sure to have that installed. I already have installed, but for you guys, this should be new. So make sure to install that. We'll be using it to kind of design like a few of the icons. We'll also be using Lorem ipsum. This one as well. So just the very first one. If you guys need me to write these out, I will in the chat just so that you can go ahead and type those in. So There's Lorem, ipsum. Mapsicle, which will be used in order to design the map. Unsplash. This plugin uses the kind of like fills in like a shape with like an image that you choose to search up, and we'll be using Iconify. Like that. So those are all the plugins that you guys need. So make sure to search that up, have it installed, and we'll be starting. So I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen. And if Yuen's ready, I will hand it off to her and she will guide you through the start of designing this personal app.
All right. So I'm gonna walk you through how you would do your homepage for your personal app. So basically you just go to the mobile kit and then copy over like any page because you will want the status bar.
Wait, sorry, Yuan. Sorry for interrupting you, but we should make sure that everyone has their plugins installed first. Does
okay.
everyone have it installed? You can just say yes in the chat or something like that. You want to make sure everyone's ready before we begin?
Oh, by the way, if you have any questions, you can like type in the chat. Let's wait for a minute before we start.
All right, Andrea.
All right. Okay. I'll start then.
That's just one person. We should wait. Let's give everyone until 7:17 to get installed. You guys are just searching up plugins on the main website. It shouldn't take too long. So just one more minute before we
Okay.
start. By the way, guys, don't be nervous to type in the chat or unmute your mic. All right, we're nice people. I promise that. All right.
Yeah, I likely won't, like, whoever's presenting likely won't see the chat, but like, I guess before we go to the next person, we could like check it and answer any questions. We good?
All right, 7:17. Let's assume everyone's done.
All right. I'll start then. So basically you just go to the mobile UI kit and copy over any page because we only want the status bar. It doesn't really matter what page it is. So here we have it. You just keep the status bar and delete anything else. And okay. So our homepage is supposed to look like this, but I think Eric is going to show you how to use the Unsplash tool where like you can make the background a picture. But like here, I'm just going to show you how you make this cutout here. So you just go to this rectangle, and draw a rectangle, and just make sure the width is the width of your screen. So if you click on the name, you could see the width is 375, and you just change this to 375. And you can see how our status bar is covered right now. And you go to the left, you go to layers and drag it on top of rectangle and here so we can see it. And I want to make the background black, so I change the color of our status bar to white so for it to show up better. Oh, so in order to change colors, you click on the text or like any shapes, I guess, and you go to the right and fill, you change the color code of it. And for white, the color code is Alt Fs. And you click on the rectangle and change the color to black. All right, so now we want to make the cutout behind the profile picture. So in order to do that, it's actually really simple. You make a circle that's the size of, that's like a little bigger than your profile pic. So let's make that. You change the width and height and make sure they're the same. So it's a circle. Let's do 170. And change the color to white. All right, so once you see like both horizontal and vertical cursors, that's when you know it's centered. For the profile picture, we actually used Unsplash, but like I'm not, I think Eric's gonna show it. So for now, I'm gonna copy over the profile picture. Okay. And we have a video in the homepage, so you can take any picture that you want and resize it. For now, I'm just gonna use this one and I'll show you how to resize it. All right. I'll wait for a bit here because you probably don't have, I guess, a picture ready. Make sure it's centered. Oh, and make sure you have Iconify downloaded. I think Catherine sent the link in the chat. Let me see.
Yeah, she sent it.
Okay, we good then. So to make the play button, you go to plugins, and here I guess all the it will show all the ones that you have installed, and just go to Iconify. Wait for a bit. Okay. So in the search bar, you can just type in play, and I think a lot of options will show up. Okay, I think this is the one I used. So if you scroll down, you can see, this is actually not the default one because I already used this one. I'll show this one then. Never mind. Okay, so you can customize the color of it. So if you change it to all zeros, oops, it should be black. And oh, for color code, if you want any color, you can like Google the color code of it, and then they should all work on Figma. And you should find the hex code, if that makes sense. So for my homepage, I want the play button to be white, so it looks better. And you can also adjust the height here or flip it or like rotate it. But I guess height doesn't really matter because you can always change it later on. And import icon. Okay, so here it is. Okay, I'm gonna make it a little bigger. Here we go. Oh, maybe this is the, make it into 20 and 12 maybe. Oh, that doesn't look good. Okay, that's better. So now we have a video. Oh, now you want to add the menu bar. So go to Iconify again. And for the menu bar, I couldn't find it with just typing in menu bar. It wouldn't really show up, I think. Oh, actually it did. Never mind. So just choose one. Also, if you can't find it by typing menu, then I always try 3 lines. And if you try 3 lines, it also show up. Menu gives you more options though. Okay. I'll choose this one, and this is by default white, so we could just import it. And adjust it to the size you want. Okay. And oh, here I'm gonna show you how to make the actual thing, like when you click the button and the menu bar, the actual menu bar should show up. So just go to rectangle and change the color to white. And go to polygon, make a triangle. That would be like the arrow of your menu bar. So you have to zoom in to make sure it's aligned. Okay. And you would add the text here. Our first page is home. Place it here. And you could just copy and paste the same text. I find it better to like always copy and paste the same text because the size of the text box would be the same, and it's easier to, I guess, organize later. Because if you have different if you have text boxes of different sizes, then and you want to put them aligned like this, it's really hard because the distance in between wouldn't be the same anymore. You want to change the, oops. You want to change the setting. You want to change the font to just, I guess, medium, regular. Okay. And the second page would be about copy it and paste it. All right. And you see how this, if you're at homepage, home should be gray instead of black. So you change the color of it to gray. You could like search up the color code for gray, or you could also change the percentage of it, of your black fill to 40%, and that will give you gray. So another thing is, because this is our menu bar and we will be using them, like all the components together, it's better to create a new component instead of leaving them individually, because if you, I mean, you could still move them like together, but if you have them as individually, it's kind of hard to move them around later. You see here, like I can't, if I try to move it, it's not gonna be, they're not gonna be together anymore. Also, it's hard to copy and paste. You would just select everything in the background. So just undo that. Okay. So you want to select everything and right click and click create component. So now you have a new component. Rename it to menu bar. Okay, so now we can just move it around however you like, and when you select it, it's not gonna fall apart. And I think the only thing left in this page is introduction text here. So just go to text again, click on the page, and hi, my name is Rudolph. Eric is gonna show you how to use the placeholder text later. So yeah, I think I'm good for this page. Eric?
All right, so you're done the profile, right?
Yeah.
All right, let me share my screen now. All right, so hello everyone. I'm here to help you guys with show you guys how to do the other part of our project, which is currently the about page. So you guys can all see my screen, right? So first I'm just gonna need some empty template. So I'm just gonna copy over the one she made earlier and take it here and just delete everything, because right now I just want a blank template which I could use. Let's just make things back. And instead of just typing in the code over here, you guys can just click on this box over here and you can just find some nice colors to use. And of course I just want black, so you can do it like that instead. You can also make your own custom colors on whatever you wish. So let's go that. This part over here, we also want it to be black. So right here, So I'm just gonna leave this here for the people who come next, so they can just use this as a template without having to delete everything else. So let me copy this again and paste it over here. So this one, I'm naming it the About page. So this is all going to be all about our great person, Lisa Green, or the imaginary person that we made up for this demonstration. So as you can see in the personal app that we made before, sorry, my screen just froze for some reason. There you go. Sorry about that. So you can see it in the original part. We made the About page look like this, right? Nice sunset top. We had nice faded picture in the background telling everything about this person, Lisa Green. And to do so, we should first need to create the upper portion, the header. So as she said before, we should start off with creating a rectangle. All right, we can just use the intuitive pop snapping tools. And I'm just gonna eyeball how long we want it to be down the page. It doesn't really matter. This is just something. This is not like the final prototype. We just want to show you how it's done. So, like we said before, we want to see the status bar, but the rectangle is currently hovering over it. So if you look at the page on the left, you can see that currently the rectangle is underneath the iOS status bar. But this means that the iOS status bar is given visual priority over the rectangle. So what we want to do is we want to drag it outside. Hey, the iOS bar has visual priority over rectangle number 3. And there you go. We can see the status bar now, which is of course what we want, right? All right. All right. All right. So now we want to fill in this picture in the background with, of course, our our nice sunset picture, and we can do that very easily with the use of the Unsplash tool. So typically when you want to use plugins in Figma, you can just right click. I mean, if you right click just in general on the screen without selecting anything, you just import it, the picture or whatever you want on the screen itself, and then you can place where you want it. But since I want it to be in the header, I can just select it first, right click it, and then just you hover over to plugins and use Unsplash. Wait for it to load. And then you can search for what image you want. So right now we want sunset, right? We want a nice picture to show that. So here we go. There you go. Sorry about that. There you go. Hey, look at that. That looks really nice, doesn't it? And another tip as you begin to make more, as you try to make it larger, you should learn how to do group things, because right now we want all because as you add more and more features, it will become more unorganized, because when you add a whole bunch of things like this bar over here, it's just the iOS status bar and the rectangle right now, right? But when we add more things, it'll be very cluttered, and like if you ever want to edit something in the future, it'll be really difficult to do so because there's just a whole bunch of stuff everywhere. But I'll show you that once we actually start adding more stuff on. So we have the header now, right? So now we want to add the picture of Lisa. So let's start off with a nice little circle. Eclipse, take a nice little circle over here and center it right there. That looks good. All right, so we want this just to be like the outline, right? So we can just make this white, nice clean circle, and we want a picture of her now. So we can put another circle. Let's make this perfect. 70, good enough. Okay, so remember, if we can use the Unsplash tool again on this circle. All right, so if you go to plugins, Unsplash, you can find a picture of the person. If you just type in person, and she's right there. And there you go. See, now we have a picture of Lisa herself right there. Look how nice it looks. All right. All right, now that we've done the header, right, we have to start on the body of text. But first of all, you wonder, hey, how did you get that picture in the background? It's all faded and stuff, but most pictures aren't really like that. So this is how we do it. Let's start off. If you want to insert a picture for like one part of it, we can just use a rectangle, like we did before. All right, just let it snap over. Remember, we don't want this picture to cut off the picture, right? So we give it less visual priority all the way to the bottom. All right, let's unsplash this. Everyone's doing okay so far, right? If there's any trouble, just feel free to send a message in the chat. Yeah, the other people who aren't presenting right now will be keeping eyes on it right so far. Or you can speak up, of course. There's no problem with that. So what we want, the picture that we used was a picture of the street. So let's just get some random picture of the street. I don't know. How about this one? All right. So this obviously isn't faded, right? So what we can do to do that is you go over to this picture, you go hover over the fill, you click this plus 2 times, and we get this thing called linear. This is basically like a gradient applied to the picture. So in other terms, it's like kind of like a filter, right? So to get this effect that we got over here, where like it's not only the top that's faded out, it's both sides. And this is, if you want it to be like this, you can, right? But like for me, just to replicate what we did before, what I'm gonna do is take the linear and then rotate it, because the way linear works is that at the top, because of how it works, like you see this part is white and this part is like the unaltered part. So that means as you move at the top, that means it's where it's filtered. But since we have 2 linears, and they're at the default state, it's only the top being like faded out twice. So what we can do is just rotate it 90 degrees right there. Push this back up to the top, push this part back up to the right there. And now we faded out the top from linear 1 over here. And then I just made this second linear to fade out the bottom as well. So that's how you get like that faded, nice like background drop picture in the background. All right, so let's begin with adding bodies of text. So there's this text box here, stands for T, pretty self-explanatory, and it's intuitive. You can just drag and drop. All right, now this is just like something you want to create. We're not exactly trying to fill it up with text just yet. We just want there to be placeholder text, just to show how it would look like if we actually wrote it up. So we can once again use the plugin Lorem ipsum. All right, just go on the text box, right click, plugins, did that. All right. And now you can just choose how many sentences you want, right? I just want this part. Sorry, wait. This part was this part's the biography, yes. So how many sentences? Let's say a biography, you want it to be lengthy, but you don't want it to be too long. So let's start. There you go. All right. Let me just reformat this text box a little bit. There you go. So when you do that, it just generates a whole bunch of random Latin words, right? Like this is something that, well, it's up to you. So that's the first part. Pretend this is the biography done. All right, there. Now, if you look back to the personal part, we still have to do the education and plans for the future. That's pretty okay, right? So let's start with that. So first we got to create the education header box. And of course, it doesn't look exactly the same as how we did it here. We're just trying to show you how to use the tools of Figma to make your own in the future if you ever want to. So let's start off here. We just have a header called education. And of course, if you want, you can change the text or change the text font. You can change it anything. You just change it to pop-ins. How about that? That's the one. That looks nicer. There we go. So you don't. I want it. Okay. So we want it to be justified to the left, or however you like. So it's just replicating the personal prototype. And then, of course, this should be familiar by now. We just make a text box, plugins, Lorem ipsum, and then, I don't know, education, 3 sentences. Sure, that's good. And there you go. Same thing for the goals, same thing for the plans for the future. We can just make another header. And of course, the text box just snap to the perfect alignment. So you don't have to waste time messing with this part over here. So let's go, plans for the future. Another text box. And then use a plugin again. Make it 3-sentence. However, this is just for placeholders and such. All right. Since these are headers, I'm going to make these a bit larger just so they pop out a bit more. And now you see back over here that hey, I have these pictures here. How do I get them? It's a bit of a hassle to find these pictures online and just save it and then import it, or you can use a plugin called Iconify. Really useful. So the picture I use here was this picture of a graduate, because that's something associated with education, right? So graduate, there you go. Just scroll down, import it. Right there. Not the perfect size, but you get the gist of it, right? That's pretty good. So there you go. And then once again, we want to Iconify again. And ignore like the text on top. It's just like naming like what this what this is, right? So when you actually make it, it won't show it there. It's just for the sake of while you're creating it there. Okay, so now for plans of the future, you can use stairs, right? That's pretty okay. Because there you go. Import this one. Okay. All right, so there you go. And now, hey, you guys can see this. This is a mess. Like, look at this. What is all this? This is just a whole bunch of stuff everywhere. So like, this is what I'm talking before. Hey, what if I wanted to edit this text box? But as Juan mentioned before, as you try to hover over something, you can accidentally hover over other things. So so that's it's kind of like the way the layers work. You can put things inside of like layers of folders, right? So think about like computer folders. So all this stuff. Okay, so let's just group everything in this upper part here as the header. So this eclipse here, this iOS bar, and this rectangle. So these 3 items and the picture, of course, I can group these as and then you can rename it. I mean, you can call it whatever you want, header. And then of course, this part is the body. This is just for the sake of organization. If you make larger apps, I highly recommend that you do this, because you don't want to like deal with all those messy properties. So body. All right, so that's the first picture done. All right, looks pretty nice. Nice faded background. It's quite similar to this one, not exact, but. And of course, we still have to add to this menu bar, which I will do right here by copying and pasting this part over here and just plopping it over there. Of course, there you go. This one's part of the header too, so let's just keep things organized. All right, there you go. All right, so that's the about page done. Did any of you guys like having issues with it? Because if you do, then please leave a message in the chat. Let me check the chat real quick. All right, there's nothing there, so let's just go on. All right, so this next part, the experience page, it's over here, right? So this time, this is going to be like a little bit of an exercise. See if you can put together what we've done so far. So take like 5 to 10 minutes and see and try to make something that looks like this. Anything, just an experience page, right? Just make it for some made up person, and we'll come back in and we'll give you 5 minutes to try to do this. After you do this, I'll run by it really quick just to make sure that you guys know how to do it properly. All right? Okay, so let's go. Get started on. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, but I'll be back real quick. All right. Oh, I just heard someone. Do you have a question? All right, start.
Hi, Brian. So you said you had trouble with the status bar, as in like getting it from the UI kit? Would you like me to go over that? Okay, sure, no problem. So let me just share my screen for a second. Okay, so basically the status bar, all you really need to do, so you have the UI kit link here, I'm pretty sure is in the chat, so you can just find that. If not, I can just resend the link again. So let me do that real quick. So you go to this link, and then it should take you to either the cover mobile components kit. So you want to go to mobile UI kit, and that is where you'll find all these components. So for the first one over here, you'd want to click on, let's say, the status bar. But if you do that, it'll only select this black shape here. So you want to have the time, the battery, the Wi-Fi. So what you do is when you click on that, it will lead you to a component here, which is part of a larger group. So you click on this iOS status bar, you Control C that, and then you go back to, let's say, if we wanted to create a new page just to sample this. So you go here and then you click Control V while highlighting that page, and it will automatically put the status bar on that page where you want it. Does that clear things up? All right, no problem.
All right, so now we got that figured out. How's this making up this experience page looking like? You guys want me to go over it now, or do you guys want some more time to make it? Okay, yeah, let's just give you. Okay, I'll just give you guys some more time. All right, it's 7:53. So hopefully you guys have managed to go through it a bit, but all right, I'll go over it really quickly. So let me share my screen again. Here you go. All right, so you guys see my screen, yeah? All right, so let's go. Where the sorry, let me refresh my page. The updates from before aren't appearing here. There you go. Where did my template go? Oh, it's fine. Just create another one by myself. So let's put this here. Sorry. So we need another blank template to create the experience page. So we just copy and paste this one. Of course, we still need the status bar. All right, and right now the text is white, but we want it to be white, so we'll just leave it at that. So let's start off with creating the header. All right, we can, so to replicate what we saw in the personal app, we want like a rating type of picture, and we can do that by using Unsplash. It's this type of rating. Maybe we'll get something. All right, great. Here, remember we want the iOS bar to show up, so we give it visual priority. We give the iOS bar visual priority by scrolling it to the bottom. You gotta drag it outside of the thing. Oh, sorry about that. All right, there you go. All right, now we want to create the body. Let's go on. Sorry about that. All right, it's unsplashing too. Okay, so we want another picture of the street. All right, let's go with this night photo. All right, same thing as before. You use linear twice to fade the picture from both sides. So let's flip it 180 degrees. Go up here to the top, and then move it over here. There you go. You also want to add that rectangle bar to the side. Increase and change appearance. We can make it a bit darker here. All right. Now let's begin adding the text again. And this is very simple as before. So we can start off with company A. Let's increase the size. This is a header, so 18. So there we go. And then another text box. And then of course we don't actually have anything to fill in here right now, so we're just gonna use the plugin again. Let's go 2 sentences. This part can be 16, or maybe 14. 16 is good. Okay, so that's good. Now let's go on to company B. Sorry. It's one font for some. All right. Same thing as before. Generate, and there you go. Okay, so everything else with projects and projects and the volunteering is the same. So to save time, because we're running a bit short on time right now, I'm just gonna do the icons and then we'll move on, because there are much more exciting things that are about to come. Like this part, once you guys seen it once, you guys know how to do it. You guys don't need me to go over this over and over again, because the next part is the stuff that you really want to see. Is when you actually see the app come alive through the animations and prototyping. So let me just do the icons real quick. So camera over here. Camera should be over here. Sorry. I need a picture of the camera. Port this right there. There you go. All right, right there. You just want to position it up here. You need another one because for company B, and so on. All right, so this is basically how you can make the experience page, right? And remember, when when you can, you should reorganize this into parts that make sense, because you don't want it to be very messy and such. But for the sake of time, we're just going to move on for now. So let's rename this experience, and for now this is complete, and we're going to move on. So Catherine, sorry to make you wait. You can do your part now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
All right, no problem. So the next part, let me share my screen. There you go. So for the next part, we'll be making our dynamic map. So I think this part is pretty interesting. I had fun making it, and I hope you guys do too. So we're going to be using a plugin called Mapsicle, and I'll walk you through how to do that. So to start, we're going to create a new frame. So we're using the iPhone 11 Pro X. We're going to call this map just to keep things organized. I'll put it right over there. So I'm going to grab the status bar. So I can just kind of do that from here. So we already have status bars. I don't have to go back to the UI kits once you already have it in there. So I'm going to Control-C, Control-V that there. And this is white. So I'm just going to change the color. Actually, let me grab it from here instead. There we go. Control-C. That way I don't have to worry about changing the color. Align that there. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click, go to our plugins, and go to Mapsicle, open Mapsicle. And here, this is where we have our map. So what we want to do is we're going to specify the dimensions of this map. And what we want to do is to have a bigger dimension than the actual size of our frame. So our phone screen here is 375 by 812. We actually want a bigger range. That way we can scroll through the map. So we'll say 2000 by 2000, create map. And then we wait for that, and then it should be done soon. There we go. Now we have a really big map. So what we want to do is actually kind of try to line this up in the center as much as possible. So here it's done for us. That's in the middle there. If I could move this down a little bit there, that should be in the center. And you can see that now our Mapsicle is underneath. But we noticed that our status bar kind of disappeared, and that's because of the order of the layers. So what we want to do is kind of drag this up over here so it appears on top. Okay, so what we want to do now, this part is really important. So in order to kind of make this map independent of the independent scrolling and like not to affect like the other components. So we're going to have a search bar, and we have the status bar up there. So we want to be able to scroll through the map without actually moving the location of the status bar or the search bar. So we're going to group this. So by doing that, you click on Mapsicle, the layer, you click Control-G, and that turns it into a group. And then you want to change this into a frame. Frames make it easier to kind of manage. And that way you could kind of like change like the prototype options for it. So we'll just keep it as a frame for now. And then we could also rename this as map. So we have two maps. One is the actual screen. The other one is where this Mapsicle is. So one last thing we're going to do for this, we're going to change these dimensions actually to the same size of the screen. So we have 375 by 812. And you notice that it goes off screen. It's all the way up there. So what we're going to do is we're going to center align it. So we click on this button here to align it horizontally. And then we click on this button here to align it vertically, kind of like that. Okay, so one more thing we're going to do before we check this out, and then we get to the later stuff, is we're going to go to prototype, no scrolling, and we're going to change it to horizontal and vertical scrolling. because we want to be able to scroll in all directions. So we can check this out and see what it looks like just for now, and we'll go back to it and fix it. So, all right, so we can kind of fix this over here. It's showing off screen. Let's see why. Let me refresh this. Okay, so let me make sure that this is actually in the center. Kind of like that. 375 by 812. Like so. And then we move this back down here. Like that. Okay, let's try this out. All right, so this may actually be a bug on Figma. This happens quite often, but don't worry about this. Usually, like when things like this happen, it's due to kind of like glitches in the system. So don't be concerned. If you refresh this or come back to it later, it would work. But in general, this is kind of like what it would look like going back here. So we'd have this over like that, and then you'd be able to kind of scroll between the entire map. So I will just kind of walk you through how to kind of put in like the directions and stuff on top. So ideally, you'd want to be able to keep this separate. So our map here is we're able to move horizontal and like vertically, but we want to keep everything else static. So here you can see when I click on the status bar, there's no scrolling. And so for the other components, we also want to make sure that there's no scrolling involved. So we can put in our search bar here. Like so. I think that's a good size. We can make this a little bit thinner, like that. And zoom in a bit. We can kind of round off the edges to make it look softer, like that. We'll change this to white, and then we could also add a drop shadow, so you can see the shadow to kind of give it some depth. And this here would be, so I click on this rectangle, and I'll bring this out of this map. So this is on its own. You don't need to touch any of this and it will work. And then in order to add the search bar, we'll use the Font Awesome Icons tool. Like so. And we'll bring this on top of the rectangle, and that should appear over like that. So one thing to note from this, guys, is it's very important that you layer your stuff properly, because the order of what you layer affects where it's visible. So if I were to have the rectangle on top, you wouldn't be able to see the magnifying glass. So you want to make sure that it's ordered properly. And then same thing goes for the text. So if I were to have text here, find directions like that, we could line it up this way. Change the opacity to 40%. Oops, like that, 40%. And we can overlap this on top. Here, I'll just put this there. And make sure that this is right here. And that way we can have our find directions. And that's pretty much how you would create the map. So I would run this, but there are some bugs in terms of the system, because this is the right order as it should be. I could show you what it looks like from the personal app design here, in case you guys want to refer to that. So here's our map or location, I called it. You can see the status bar is its own frame. You could see here a separate group with other components such as like the text, the search bar, the rectangle, the menu bar. And then we also have our map, which is just the Mapsicle and a vector that we could add into. So as a reminder, everything in this separate map frame is subject to moving. So the vector, the marker that you see over here would move along with the map, whereas everything outside would be stationary. So that's how you would design that map. And then for one of the more interesting pages too, we have our gallery, which I will walk you guys through. So this part is pretty artsy. There's not much that you can't do already based on what you've learned. So here I can just start off with a new frame like that. And then here, just to refer to the original, we have, this is what it looks like, and this is what we'll try to do. I won't go through all of it because it's kind of repetitive in terms of like, let's say the pictures, but one thing to remember is that you can actually design beyond the phone screen size. And so like if we have a 375 by 812 and this surpasses it, then what would automatically happen is you'll be able to scroll. So when we go to our personal app here, and I click on this, you see it's kind of cut off at the bottom, but you can just kind of like click on that and scroll through to see what that looks like. So I will show you how to briefly do that. So I'll start off by making a rectangle like so. I'll draw that outside here. These dimensions, let's say we use 375 by 217. And that should be like pretty good size. We could use the Unsplash tool. And remember, you can just use whatever, sorry, not street, sunset. You could use whatever photos you want to fill in. I personally like this one over here, like so. And then we also, similar to before, we have our ellipse of size. I believe this was 170 by 170. Center that there, make this white. And then another ellipse size, 150 by 150. And we can center that, and then I'll go back to the Unsplash tool and write in our person, which you could actually find here. Put that there, and then we have our kind of like introduction name, Lisa Green. Control A, we can center that, and I believe this text size was 36, but I'm going to make that 36. And put that straight in the middle, like so. And then we can kind of just copy paste this text here and write street photographer. And then we can make this a size 20. And then reduce the opacity to like 40%, just so that it doesn't take away from the name. Okay, so the next part is we're going to have our likes, followers, following. So one tool on Figma that helps you kind of like organize things nicely is using a grid. So let me just rename this first, call this gallery so we know what page this is. And then we'll click on that. We'll go to layout grid. And then this kind of gives you a grid to like kind of help you be able to lay out things symmetrically or whatnot. So I'm going to click on this and change it to columns. And this gives us columns. And so since we have 3 text boxes, I'm going to change this count to 3 like that. So I'm going to use rectangle tool. I'll draw it out here like that, and then kind of change the dimensions so it fits. Actually, sorry, I'm going to use a text tool. That's what we're aiming for. So text, I'm going to go with, let's say 1,508 likes. We'll move this up a bit, and we could fade this out, change this to 40%. And then we could kind of also like change the size of this over here. So make this a bit bigger. I'll make this one a little bit smaller. So I think size 20 is actually pretty good. And then I'll copy that over here, change these numbers. So this one is 367 followers. And then over here, move that over and change this to 1,552 following. Like that. So if you guys want to turn off the grid, you can do so by clicking the eyeball button. You don't have to see it anymore. But for now, I'm just going to keep it in case we need it again. I'll go to the line tool. I'll draw a bar from all the way across. Let's say that. I'm going to change this to 372 because I believe that is the dimensions. Or is it no, it's 375, my bad. And I'm going to kind of make this a bit faded. So maybe 20%. We don't want to be able to see that line. And then we're going to have two sections that follow. So that's going to be our photos. I'll keep this at size, let's say 24. And you guys feel free to kind of like play around with it and do your own thing. This is kind of just a way for you to get familiar, so you could use your own pictures, or you could kind of like follow a different formatting scheme. It's all good. And I'll just bring that to the center here. So actually what we could do, if we wanted to do this properly, is I'll turn this off. I'll make a new grid. And I'll just do 2 like that. So then I can kind of like balance this out here. And then I'll copy this here too. Like so. Then I'll draw another line. Doesn't have to be perfect. I can just change the angle here. I'll bring that up underneath the photos, and I could increase the width of that line. Let's say maybe 3 actually might be nice. Like that, to show that we're on the photos tab. Okay, and then from our app here, we could see we have like a bunch of photos. I'm just going to use one, and then I'll show you how to make this. Not entirely, just kind of like how to get these icons, and all of this would just be text that you put in, and like you play around with like the opacities and the bolding and the size. So that is all stuff that you could figure out, and then we'll get into the prototype. So we'll just do this very quick. I'm going to draw a rectangle, say like that, and I'll make this 123, whoops, 123 by 123. So I'll put it right underneath that line, like that. And then I'll use, I think I need to line this up. Yeah, there we go. And then I'll use the Unsplash tool. I'll look for street, since our persona, Lisa Green, is a street photographer. This is the one that I used over here. And there you go. That is what you do. And then basically you'd kind of repeat that pattern over like for 3 photos per row, for example, in order to get the final product. So I can turn off this grid. We don't need it anymore. And for the last part, I'm gonna make a new screen here. I'm going to make a bigger rectangle now, or actually first, one thing, if you guys may have noticed, I almost forgot, was the status bar. So I'm just gonna copy that over. I have it all the way up here, Control C. I'll go back to gallery, Control V, there you go. And then for this one, all right, photo, Control V. And that is where we have status bar. So I'm gonna draw a rectangle, draw a bigger one on the side. And I believe the dimensions we used was 178. No, not that, not 178, my bad. 375 by 545. I'll move this over here. I will make sure that this is underneath the status bar, like so. And then I'll fill this in with the same image that we used. Straight. There we go. So now you notice here that this is actually black. We could change this. Make it white. Yes, we can make this back to black again, because that's supposed to always be black. And then for the back button that we had, initially we could just go to plugins, font awesome, icons, and click back or arrow actually. Use this one. Okay, that's over here. I'm going to change this to a white color so we can see it, and move it all the way up here. And that will be where we can go back to our front page. And the next would be just to kind of implement more of these icons. So typical Instagram style, you'd have like the heart. You could play around with. We could increase this a bit, like so. Change this to, let's say, nicer color red, like that. And we can align that, like so. We also have our comment bubble. So if you click this, go to comments, we have this. So we notice that our comment bubble is actually filled in. So what you might actually want is to have a stroke instead of a fill. So I'm going to do that. Let's say this is good size. Might be a bit difficult just to make it the same size, but it should be aligned. And I'll move this over a little bit. I'm going to make the stroke black and the fill white. Just like that. And then same thing for our our share button and our bookmark button. So if you wanted to check that out, I won't go over them now because it's getting a bit repetitive, but you guys should get a feel of how that works. So this would be the heart, this would be a comment, this would be share, and this would be bookmark if you were to search it up in the Font Awesome Icons plugin. And that would be it for the photo. So if you guys have any questions, make sure to message the chat. And then if there's anything else, we can just head off to UN, who will show the prototype with the final version of everything.
All right. So I'm just gonna make it from scratch then. So basically after you have your personal apps like all designed, it would look something similar to this. So what you want to do right now, because when you click the, oops, didn't mean to click it. One sec. Okay, so when you click the, I guess the menu bar, like this would pop up. So in order to do this animation, you click this. And so can I just move this? So instead of design, you go to prototype and you would see a plus button. Just click it and point it to the page that you want to go to. So that just means that if I click this, it'll lead me to this page where we have this pops up. You could choose what animation you want. So it's I think I want to do on top. Let me just delete this. Okay, so now it's on top. Navigate to, we don't have to change that. And as for animation, you could have it as instant. It will still work, but like it doesn't look really good. It would just, it would just show up. So you want to change this to, you could change it to like move in or move out, but I think it's easier to change to smart animate. So I guess Figma kind of guesses like what kind of animation you want based on like the icon that you selected. So that would just lead you to this page. And so in order to make the menu bar disappear, you probably oops. Wait, this is not the other, oh my god. Okay, so this is the actual prototype. Never mind then. So if you click the screen, if you click anywhere else in the background, you would think you will want the menu bar to disappear. So you can select the name, like so all of it, the menu, and then just do the same thing, click the plus button and then drag it to your home screen. So that just means if you click anywhere else on a screen, except for the menu bar, of course, it will lead you to the home page. Actually, one second. I want to work with the other prototype that. So you could try that and let me know when we're ready to move on. I'm opening the version where anime has not been implemented yet. I think this is the one. Okay, share screen. Okay, let's move on. So let me just quickly do it here. So you go click on the icon, go to prototype. I'm just repeating what I said. Just click on, we can click on that. Okay. So drag it to the page that you want to go to and click on menu. I mean the name of the page, and drag the arrow to drag it back to home. And I'll just animate that to show you. Okay, I need to change the animation from instant to smart animate so it just gives you a smoother transition. Okay, it's loading. Okay. So now when you click it, menu bar will show up. And since I haven't added anything for these buttons yet, you can't really go to them. So let's do that right now. So if you click about, you would go to the corresponding page. So you just click on the text box and you drag the arrow to about. And when you click on experience, you go to, wait, is it experience 2? Okay, just go to your experience page if you have it. And since we already had Smart Anime set up, now when you add new animations, your default animation would be Smart Anime, so you don't have to do anything. And just do the same thing for your map and gallery. Okay. And now what you need to do is click on those pages and drag the arrow back to, oops. I think, so normally what you want to do is you want to set this up for your menu bar, and then you copy all the pages and you paste the menu bar onto that. So I'll show you what I mean. So you wouldn't have to do that for all the for all of it, because, okay, how do I explain? So you see how so basically if you use the same menu bar, then these animations are saved. You could repeat the same animation, but since these are different menu bars, you have to do that again. But I guess you get the gist of it, so I could just show you how to go from page to page then. So go to home, about, location, wait, so so normally what I would do is I would copy this and then I would paste it on here. Okay, so as you can see, like all the arrows are still there, they still have the same animation, if that makes sense. So then you will put the menu bar on like the new page. So yeah, but since we already have these set up, I won't do that. And also like the same thing for the menu bar lines, like the button. If you make one animation and you copy and paste it onto other pages, the same animation will apply. So just click on this and this will lead us to this page. So drag onto here. Let's see what the animation, what the prototype looks like now. So click on about, and that will lead you to the about page and location. Since I don't have that page added to the animation, it won't really respond to me. Oh, by the way, once you update on here, your prototype gets updated instantly. So I want this button to have drag the arrow to the mode. Now try it. Okay, now we have it. How much time we got? Do we have any questions?
We're just 5 minutes over time, but that's okay.
Oh,
So
okay. I'm pretty
we can
much
wrap up.
done because yeah, everything else would be the same.
All right.
So yeah. All right.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, Yuan. So that concludes our UX UI design workshop. I hope you guys learned something new. Sorry for going a bit over time, but we're very grateful that you can make it. And if you guys are interested, we have a recording of this workshop that will be posted to YouTube soon, so you can check that out later. And I think we'll, feel free to check out the McMaster IEEE YouTube channel, and you could see it all there. We might send out links for it in the follow-up email if you guys are interested. But thank you for joining us, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming, Brian. And everyone, thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming, guys.